Let me start this story right where the air was coldest and the silence was the loudest, because the image of my husband Mark, standing in the doorway on Christmas morning not just with a woman, but with a woman who was visibly, hugely pregnant with his child, is something I will never forget. My living room, decked out in the cheerful, tacky glory of holiday decorations I'd spent days putting up, suddenly felt like the stage for the cruelest play ever written, and I was the unsuspecting lead actress. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. His face was a mask of cold entitlement, and when his mistress, let's call her Sarah, clutched her enormous belly and a single ugly word left his mouth, a word meant to tear me down to my very core, I knew this was no misunderstanding. It was a calculated assassination of my soul. "You see, Clara," he said, his voice ringing in the sudden, sickening quiet, "some of us can actually give a man a family." That was his Christmas gift to me, the woman who had stood by him for 10 years, the woman whose greatest heartbreak was her own inability to conceive which he had sworn he understood and still loved me for. So I need to know, was I wrong for what I did next, for turning that horrific humiliation back on him so publicly and completely that his entire carefully constructed life crumbled before the new year? Tell me if you would have done the same thing. The story really begins years before, with the kind of love that feels inevitable. Mark and I met in college. He was the charismatic, ambitious business major, and I was the quiet, driven graphic design student. We complemented each other perfectly. He had the energy, I had the stability. We married young, full of the kind of naive hope that only comes from thinking you've truly found your forever person. We spent our 20s building a life, a cute little house, 2 perfectly behaved cats, and a successful small business that Mark started, which I designed the brand and marketing for. He always made sure to tell everyone he was the brains, and I was the art. A subtle jab that used to sting a little, but I brushed it off. Our life felt so normal, so good until we decided we were ready for a family. We spent 3 years trying, a slow, agonizing slide into the dark reality of infertility. The doctors were vague, the treatments were invasive and emotionally draining, and every month was a fresh new wave of grief. I remember the day the final specialist gave us the official word. It wasn't impossible, but it was highly, highly unlikely without a truly monumental medical intervention. I broke down, but Mark held me and swore it didn't matter. He said, and I'll never forget the words, "We have each other, Clara. We don't need a biological child to be a family. We'll adopt, we'll travel, we'll be okay." He was my rock, or so I thought. He was the one who insisted we stop the treatments. He said he couldn't stand to see me hurting anymore, and I let myself believe it was all about my well-being. Looking back, I should have realized it was about his convenience. Our 10th wedding anniversary was last summer. It was a beautiful, melancholic milestone. Our business was thriving, we'd paid off the house early, but the silence where a child's laughter should have been was a constant ache. Around this time, Mark started working more. He was launching a major expansion for the business, one that required an enormous amount of capital and a massive push in design and marketing my area. Ironically, he brought on a new marketing consultant, a recent college graduate named Sarah. She was blonde, bubbly, and I noticed immediately, exceptionally comfortable touching Mark's arm when they spoke. Call it a woman's intuition, call it the paranoia of a wife whose emotional bank account was running low, but something about her just felt wrong. I brought it up to Mark, gently at first. He laughed it off, said I was being insecure, and that Sarah was just a young girl who idolized him as a mentor. He started traveling more too, business trips. He'd say, "Gotta lock down those new investors, honey." The emotional distance became a physical one, and I retreated into my work. I started pouring my heart and soul into the business's next quarter campaign, developing a new visual identity for the expansion, something bold and truly innovative. It was my way of reclaiming some power, a reminder that I was more than just a barren wife. I was a creative force and a vital part of his success. I was the silent partner, the one who worked the 12-hour days without the public praise he commanded. Then came the financial part of the story, the piece that makes my blood run cold even now. The expansion was massive, and to fund it, Mark had convinced me to co-sign a new business loan. But that wasn't all. He also pressed me to agree to use a substantial portion of our joint savings, nearly $50,000 we had earmarked for our long-discussed adoption fund. He made it sound like a necessary, temporary risk. It'll double our investment by next year, Clara. He'd promised, his hand on my cheek. We can put 3 times as much into the adoption fund then. Like a fool, I signed the papers. I trusted him, I always had. He was my husband, this was our life. As the holidays approached, the tension in the house was a palpable thing. Mark was stressed, jumpy, and increasingly absent. I was lonely, exhausted, and feeling more like a housemate than a wife. I threw myself into making our Christmas perfect, a desperate, last-ditch attempt to recapture the magic we'd lost. I baked a dozen kinds of cookies, wrapped gifts until my fingers were raw, and strung so many lights on the house that it probably showed up on satellite images. I wanted a happy memory, a beautiful photo to cling to. He told me he was flying to meet a critical last-minute investor on Christmas Eve, but that he'd be back late Christmas morning, just in time for a quick brunch and gifts. I was disappointed, but I accepted it. That was the last lie he ever told me that I believed. So, there I was, Christmas morning, sitting alone in my perfectly decorated living room, sipping cocoa and trying to feel festive, when the front door chime rang. Mark wasn't supposed to knock, he had a key. I opened it, and that's when the world fractured. Mark was standing there, yes, but beside him was Sarah, wearing a ridiculously oversized Christmas sweater that barely concealed her condition. Her face was pale and determined. I remember her gripping his arm so tightly her knuckles were white. Then Mark delivered his bomb, the confession, the humiliation, the single cruel word directed at my infertility. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I felt a cold, paralyzing shock like a physical blow. Sarah then stepped forward, her hand resting protectively on her belly, and said, "Mark and I are in love, and we're having a boy. He's leaving you, leaving me." On Christmas Day, and she had the gall to look at me with pity. Pity? The sheer monumental betrayal of it all. The years of him watching me weep over negative pregnancy tests, the silent suffering, and all the while, he was off creating the family he claimed he didn't need with a younger woman. But the worst, the absolute worst, was the $50,000. The adoption money The thought slammed into me with the force of a tidal wave. I suddenly saw the whole picture, not just the affair, but the cold, calculated strategy. He was setting up his new family using the money meant for my future. That money wasn't just savings. It was the symbol of the life he'd promised me. In that moment, the paralysis lifted, replaced by a clarity and a rage so intense it felt like fire under my skin. I knew I couldn't beat him in a screaming match. Not on my own front porch with his mistress and unborn child as witnesses. I needed to fight him where he was strongest, and where I, the silent, dismissed artist, had the most hidden power, the business. I stepped back, away from the door, a slow, deliberate movement. Mark, expecting hysterics, looked confused. "Clara, don't be dramatic." He huffed, clearly annoyed that I wasn't making this easier for him. I looked him dead in the eye, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw him recoil. I didn't say a word. I just walked straight to my home office. He followed me, leaving Sarah standing awkwardly in the hallway with a half-dozen bags. "What are you doing? We need to talk," he demanded. "I'm working," I said, a dangerous calm in my voice. He scoffed. I sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, and went straight to the business's shared server, the one that held all the core digital assets, the proprietary files, the financial projections, and most importantly, the entire brand and marketing collateral that *I* had created. The stuff worth hundreds of thousands to a new investor. I went to the main folder, the one that housed the master files for the entire company's visual identity, all the logos, the pitch decks, the new expansion campaign designs, and I hit the delete key. Mark started laughing, a horrible, condescending sound. "What? You're deleting the Christmas card list?" Honestly, Clara, stop this nonsense. He thought I was being petty. He had no idea what I was deleting. As the progress bar flashed on my screen, indicating a massive data deletion, I locked the folder, changed the admin passwords I'd cleverly made impossible for him to guess, and then I went into the company's official social media accounts and did the same, changing the passwords and enabling two-factor authentication that only I controlled. I was the one who had set them all up in the first place, and I had all the administrative access. He was the face, I was the security. I looked at him, then really looked at him. He was still standing there, arms crossed, waiting for me to break. "You know, Mark," I said, my voice low and even, "you came here today to tell me I couldn't give you a family, but I want to remind you that I gave you something else, a business, a brand, a company, and unlike a biological child, I can take that away." He blanched. He finally understood that I wasn't deleting a recipe file. So that's the situation I was in. My husband of 10 years had just thrown my infertility in my face to justify leaving me for his pregnant mistress, and he had done it after conning me out of our adoption savings for a business he was now using to build his new life. I had just initiated the first step in a complete digital takeover, locking him out of the foundational assets of the company we built, a company he needed more than ever for his expansion. I had the power to stop the entire expansion and potentially bankrupt him before the new year. Before I tell you what happened next, the confrontation that followed, and the final moves I made, I want you to *** pause and comment below ***. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have stopped there and waited for the lawyers? Or would you have pressed the nuclear button and completely destroyed his business to save yourself? Let me know, because what I did was irreversible. Mark didn't stop yelling for 10 minutes. He didn't scream about Sarah or the baby. He screamed about the business The investor meeting, I need those decks, the new logo, are you insane, Clara? You'll ruin ***. That last word, as, was the final insult. There was no us anymore. I was a casualty of his selfishness. I just sat at my desk watching him turn purple with fury, and when he finally paused for breath, I spoke, still calm. "There is no us, Mark. You ended us when you chose to humiliate me on Christmas morning. And as for ruining us, you did that when you took the adoption money to fund your affair and your illegitimate child. I am simply protecting my half of the joint asset, which, by the way, I designed and built the foundation for. And I will continue to protect it until I get back every single penny and a significant portion of the company's value. If the assets are missing, the investors will pull out. You won't get a dime. I think you know who has the leverage now." Sarah had finally wandered in, looking bewildered and terrified, whispering, "Mark, what's going on?" He just snarled at her to shut up. That's when I knew I'd won the first round. He didn't care about her, he cared about his money and his image. I told him to leave, and he finally did, but not before screaming he would call his lawyer. "Please do," I replied, "mine is already on the phone." Which was true. I had a lawyer for the adoption paperwork, and I called her immediately after the deletion, laying out the whole sordid story. My lawyer, bless her soul, was a shark. I spent the rest of Christmas Day and the next few days in a fog, feeding my cats and talking to my lawyer, not crying, just cold and methodical. My revenge wasn't going to be petty, it was going to be structural. The investors were due to sign the expansion deal on December 28th, just 3 days away. They needed the final, polished pitch deck and the new marketing campaign assets, all of which were currently residing in a password-protected, encrypted backup drive on my person. Mark had nothing but old drafts. He called me repeatedly, pleading, then threatening. I didn't budge. I let my lawyer handle it all. Her strategy was brilliant. Delay the divorce proceedings, but initiate an immediate claim on the business assets, specifically citing the ** misappropriation of joint funds ** the adoption money, and Mark's ** gross negligence ** the affair as grounds for an emergency injunction to protect * my * investment in the company. On the 27th, Mark's lawyer called mine, frantic. The investors were on the verge of walking away. Mark had no way to present the expansion. He was completely neutered. My lawyer presented our offer. I would immediately sign the divorce papers, making it clean and quick, *, but only if * he met my 3 non-negotiable demands. First, he had to give me the house outright. Second, he had to sign over 100% of the company's profit share, ** not ownership, but profit share, ** for the next 5 years, which was the projected high growth period funded by the expansion. This meant he'd still do the work and face the risk, but I'd collect the vast majority of the rewards. Third, and this was the sweetest part, he had to sign a sworn affidavit, an * ironclad legal document * that I could use in court if necessary, detailing his affair with Sarah, the ** misappropriation of the $50,000 adoption fund **, and his reason for leaving me, specifically mentioning his desire for a biological heir, and his contempt for my infertility. He would also have to cover all my legal fees. If he agreed, I would hand over the proprietary day, 30 minutes before the investor meeting, saving his deal. If he refused, I would not only delete the only existing backup, but I would also release the affidavit to the investors, sinking his career and reputation forever. He was trapped. He was staring at the barrel of bankruptcy and public disgrace. He signed. He came to my lawyer's office late on the 27th, haggard and defeated, and signed every single paper. He didn't even look at me. The look on his face when he signed that affidavit admitting he betrayed me over my infertility was my Christmas miracle. He destroyed my dream of a family, and I took the financial foundation of his. We were even. 30 minutes before the investor meeting, my lawyer transferred the full data set, and the deal went through. Mark got his expansion, but I got the security, the house, and the knowledge that every dollar of profit he made for the next 5 years would be flowing into my bank account. Sarah, the pregnant mistress, got a man who was now legally and financially bound to his ex-wife's financial interests, a man who had to watch his hard-earned money go straight to the woman he had humiliated. She got a broke, bitter fiancé and a lifetime of knowing that his business, the one that would provide for her child, was controlled by the woman he had scorned. As for me, I sold the house, moved to a new city, and used the first 6-figure payment from the profit share to set up a trust for my future, potential adopted child. I also started my own new design firm, this time with my name proudly on the door. The moral of this story is that I may not have been able to give Mark a biological heir, but I certainly gave him a spectacular, life-altering consequence. He saw me as weak, as barren, as a mere accessory to his success, and he learned the hardest lesson of his life. **, never underestimate the silent partner, **. I was the anchor of his success, and when he tried to cut me loose, he didn't realize he was sinking his own ship. I lost a husband, but I gained my freedom, my self-respect, and a very comfortable future built on his continued hard work. I still think about that Christmas day sometimes and I don't feel anger anymore, just a cool, quiet satisfaction. So, that's my truth. Now you know the full, ugly story. Like this video if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this where the scorned woman gets her ultimate victory. And share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I go too far or did he get exactly what he deserved? I'll see you all in the next story.